All right, welcome to my DLC review of Shadow of the Erdtree for Elden Ring. Um, I'm just gonna start off. This DLC was fucking amazing. It was like nothing I hardly ever disliked about the DLC. I enjoyed every last second of it, every last drip of it. Um, and so I am going to just start with the cons because I only have three of them. So that's very like minimal in terms of like my actual issues with the um DLC. One, performance around areas with a lot of environmental items. For example, flowers, those ghost tombstones, and lightning from the Dragon Summit. Those areas did suffer some stuttering, some FPS drops, um, and it makes sense, like the amount of things that were popping up because of things like the area. It would make sense that you would have FPS drops. I wish it didn't happen. I wish there was a way to really fix it. I don't know if there really is, or if there's gonna be a way for them to get around that. Two, um, hitboxes on some moves from bosses were kind of janky. At least for one, for sure, was Commander Gaius. Um, the charge attack that he had was absurd. Um, Even like I could only perfectly roll through it if there was like it was like one frame in. Like if I was practically fucking like my character was straight into his snout and I rolled all the way down to his butthole. Like I had to nail that perfectly. Um and I feel like here with Radon though definitely the uh some moves that hit me when I felt like they shouldn't have. Or if the rolling through them was so inconsistent, like it wasn't consistently the same. Like when he sucks you in. That it wasn't the sucking in part with his gravity, it's the like shockwave of like spikes that come out when he like expels and like try and roll backwards through that was very difficult to pull off. Um and then I feel like with the Lord of the Frenzied Flame, Midra, his flames, they would catch you even if you I feel like out of the range of the flame, and that kind of was annoying. Um but like that was like a small gripe. Like because honestly, like a lot of those times those things that hit me didn't kill me. Um it just did enough damage to where I was forced to heal, and like it was like kind of like sucked I had to uh spend time on it. Like healing, like I it should have been a spot where I could capitalize a bit, but I couldn't. Which is fine. It was in a sense kind of like a skill issue at the same time because I could pull off the rolls through those. But the thing is I was like it was either inconsistent of whether I'd get like fully make it through, if I would still get hit. And I don't know if that was on my end. Um or if it was on the game's end. So it's kind of like an iffy con. It's not really like potentially super true or not. Um, and then my third gripe is that the Abyssal Woods is slightly too big to be forced to move through all of it without Torrent. Granted, there isn't a lot to explore in the area. Like, you can explore, there's like some verticality to it, but they don't have any items really. Uh, out in the open in the Abyssal Woods. Like, there's some spots that do have some items. Um, and I feel like a little bit of the Abyssal Woods is very samey. I mean, it is a wooded area in a foggy, dark area. Kind of makes sense. Everything kind of looks and like feels similar and like kind of melds together. It makes sense. Um, it just sucks that how big of an area it is. And I feel like it would have felt like a lot bigger and like take a lot longer if I didn't know that I could parry the yellow guys. The madness dudes. Um and like I had to like sneak around them or feel like I had to sneak around them. But anyways, let's move on to the pros of the DLC. The music and environment is amazing. It's gorgeous. I could not get enough of like the areas, how good they looked, and how like um just in general they looked so good. I was taking screenshots all the time. Like I was purposely like turning my HUD off, sitting down, trying to get good angles. Like I was always on the lookout of like, oh, I should take a screenshot here. I should take a screenshot there. Uh, like they did such a good job with like designing the locations in the game that like I just couldn't get enough. Like everything looks so great, and it really made exploration like feel amazing. Um, and then the next thing on my list is that the bosses are amazing. They are they are designed so well. The designs of them are like fucking cool as shit. I feel like some people are upset about Padan being used as second time in the game, but forget that Margit is Wargot, and like I feel I feel like this version of Radon is different enough for it to not be like a reuse, like a reskin. Like he has abilities from Moog. He gets abilities from Mikola. In the second phase, like this Radon is so much different than the Radon we face in the base game that it's not the same Radon. It's not Radon again that you have to fight, right? It's not bad. Ugh, bad choice. And like the fact that Mikula isn't the final boss, essentially. I feel like some people expected to fight Mikula himself, but the fact that he was shedding all his abilities and parts of him throughout the whole DLC area, it makes sense that he wouldn't be the final boss because he's trying to become um I don't know, like he's trying to become a god, and like a lot of the gods we see in the game are like outer realm gods. Like they played a part in the story and they have like some abilities, but they aren't like really physically there for any aspect of that, right? You know. Oh, hey. The bosses are very challenging and fun to fight. I feel like the challenge that all the bosses have are very well thought through and like is very skill based oriented, and like the challenge of the bosses is as challenging as you want to make them based on like what you're limiting yourself to. Um and like the music for each of the boss fight is so like prominent, and it makes a look the fights with the bosses like 10 times more badass. And I mean like I was in awe every time I fought like one of the main bosses, like Mesmo, when he transformed. The first time I saw him become a massive snake to a fucking attack me, I lost my mind. I was like, "Oh, what's going on?" Like my brain like melted, and I didn't even survive the attack. I died right afterwards because I was like, I don't know what's going on. This is fucking crazy, unexpected, you know. And like and then the Lord of Frenzy, like his design is so cool. The fact that he like has that like spinal like thing, I don't even know what it is. It looks like just um like f- hardened frenzied flame, you know, like a crystalline form of frenzied flame. And the fact that he like it's in his skull and like spiked throughout his body, and the fact he rips his head off and it becomes the frenzied flame head that you get at the end of the base game with the frenzied the Lord of Frenzy ending is uh, amazing. Such awesome, like cool design. Volana reminded me of Pontiff Sullivan in Dark Souls 3, like the same feel, and that was like nostalgia bait right there, and that sucked me in. I really liked her fight. It was really cool. It was difficult. I'm gonna move on to the next point. The caves and catacombs. The fact that they added like multiple levels to them, like they went from a um typical like 5 minute excursion to a 25 to 45 minute of excursion of exploration and finding hidden areas in them and things like that. The amount of loot that you got, the cool loot you got at that, because they added some cool ass loot in those caves and catacombs and jowls, or jails, however you want to pronounce it. They were super fun to explore. They had such verticality to them. It made them feel 10 times better than the base game stuff. I know people complained about the lack of amount of them compared to the base game. I feel like that is fine for how much work they put into them. I feel like they went for quality over quantity, which is something some people complained about the base game, about how there's too much caves and catacombs and no real uh difference between them. They were just the same. It was like, oh, another catacomb, you know? But like this time in the DLC, it was like, oh, another catacomb. This is awesome. I want to go through this. What am I don't find this time, you know? And that was super great. Um, all the new weapons they added are cool as hell. The new weapon categories, like the um dexterity based like great swords, essentially the thin ones, um the flash, the hand weapons, um the martial art ones. They're awesome. They're all great. Hold on 1 second. Someone's asking for me. Alright, I'm back. Um oh yeah. All the new weapons are fantastic. They're crazy good. I like them a lot. Uh, I didn't finish the DLC with any of them. I played around with some, but not too much. I plan to play around with new weapons in my own time. Like on my Steam Deck when I play on my own outside of streaming, because I'll probably gonna play a bunch of Elden Ring in my free time now. Off stream. I might do more playthroughs in the future. Um, Probably challenge runs down the line. That's probably what I might do, but nothing too soon. Anyways, back to the review. I found the difficulty of the DLC was great, and it makes it where um I had I had to learn the boss's move sets and like really focus to beat them because they were difficult, and that was fantastic. That felt great. And when I finally beat the bosses, I was like, my god, that was a fight to the death. That was crazy. And like I felt that with some of the uh bosses from the main game, but like not as much as I felt with this DLC. Like, and like some people might not like that, like feeling like you're constantly you're fucking fighting, you have to lock in to win really bit hard, but like I liked it. I loved every second of that. That was great. I enjoyed that so much. Can't get enough of it. Exhilaration of beating it felt great. And like I felt like the overworld wasn't too difficult, like exploration, like mobs hardly ever killed me. I I died from falling a lot, but that's typically what happens to me in the first place. I just fall and then I die a lot. Happened a lot when I went through the base game. Like I hardly died from mobs. Um, I know some people had it where mobs were like one shotting or two shotting them. Probably they didn't really have scattered tree fragments. They weren't wearing like the best armor that they had. They probably had like low endurance. Um, Maybe the build just wasn't built for it. But I didn't really struggle against mobs. I only really struggled against bosses. And that kind of makes sense. I mean, some of them I steamrolled, but there were definitely a few that I was on for like a good few hours. Uh, I think the longest one was Radon. I think that Radon was the final boss. Radon was like the only one that took me a really long time. Just slightly beat the gravesite. For a little bit. Um, every other boss I beat in a few tries. Like Valana, I think took a little bit, but wasn't too difficult. Mesmer took a while, but again, it was only like maybe an hour of attempts. Um, Fail the Dread took 3 attempts. Um, wasn't too difficult. He was an awesome boss fight, but like wasn't too difficult. Um, I feel like the size of the DLC was crazy and unexpected. Like we thought we were all getting the size of Limgrave. It was the size of Limgrave and then some. Like we had the whole Abyssal Woods, which was like a area. There was so much verticality to like the actual like main area. Outside of like legacy dungeons, it was insane. Like there was so much to explore and find. I spent so much time exploring. I took the essentially a playthrough's time of the base game exploring and doing playing the DLC. It took me like 40ish hours to beat the DLC, which is pretty much what it took for me to beat the base game on my second playthrough, essentially. Compared to where my first playthrough took me 100 hours, but that was because I went and did everything. Granted, I didn't do everything on my second playthrough of the base game, but um the size of it was crazy. Like we got a small game for a DLC added to Elden Ring, and that's just crazy to think about. Um I think the lore and the story of the DLC adds so much to the base game story, and it really makes it to where like the the DLC the a good portion of the main game story pushes toward the site of it being like leading into the DLC, and like it makes so much sense, and like they were very direct with the lore of this DLC. I feel like there wasn't a lot of miscommunication or like um where like a lot of the lore implications of the DLC wasn't like kind of up in the air for interpretation. It was pretty much just like laid flat out to you. I mean, there's some stuff to interpret, but like not as much as one would think of previous Souls games. Because previously, most Souls born DLCs, the DLCs weren't really tied to the base game story. Not really. Like a little bit, but like most of the time, like it has some like time traveling um aspect to it to differentiate it. But this is like I think the first DLC that happens hand to hand at the same time as the game's base storyline, which is cool. I'm gonna have to use the bathroom. I'll be back. Okay, I am back. I had to use the restroom. Anyways, uh, I just finished talking about the story about the DLC and my thoughts of it. Um, So the DLC gave me the feeling of going through the base game again for the first time, in the sense of like the exploration felt so good, and like I kept getting sucked into just wanting to explore and just kind of go around and find new areas. And like it was frustrating me at one point because I like there was two areas on the map I didn't uncover yet, and I was trying to figure out how to, and it was driving me nuts. I had to look it up because I just wanted to explore those areas before I finally beat um the DLC, because I was like coming up on to Radon, and I was like, I needed, I felt like I needed to figure get through those areas before I went and finish going to near Elim and get up to Radon, because I didn't know Radon was the final boss until after I finally finished exploring those areas. I think maybe I don't know. I don't remember. Um, but the like the fact that I had to actually look up where to go because um I just couldn't figure it out because they were hidden. Like the fact that they were hidden was crazy. Like no, there's three areas because there was the hinterlands, and the fact that you had to use an emote to get into one area was crazy. I didn't think that you needed to do that. It kind of remind me of Dark Souls 3 and using the emote uh, to get into the dragon sanctuary or whatever. Um, like that was awesome. Like the exploration of the DLC was so great. There was so much to find. There was so much to do. I couldn't get enough of it. Um, and then I think the scatter tree fragment is amazing and adds to the DLC to like push you to like explore to get stronger. And like it felt like the Sekiro like leveling system, which I like it was just good. Oh man. Uh, and the fact that like the story implications of it, like the fact that you're not under America's blessings or the blessings of the Erdtree anymore, and that like everyone is against you. In the DLC area, like you're under the shadow of the Erdtree. Like you're in an area that you weren't ever meant to be as a tarnished. Um, and the fact that you are in there and everyone's against you because of it is crazy. Like every aspect of it was like the scatter tree implications, like the fragment and the leveling behind it is crazy. Like the lore implications, it just adds another level to the DLC. Um, and also the fact that you get so many upgrade materials throughout the DLC, like all the smithing stones and lovewort and stuff and gravewort is really good. Like the fact that you can get so much and like they give you a wide variety from like the lowest level to the highest level is fantastic because it would really suck to be for them to be giving us uh, all of these new DLC item stuff, right? And then just uh taking away the rest of it. You know, not taking it away, but like not giving us the materials needed to upgrade. It would be kind of shitty and suck. Um, and for some reason, like they're like, oh, here's 180 new weapons and whatnot, but you can't upgrade them because we're not giving you any materials. I saw somebody complain about it in a video, and I was like, that's absurd. Like complaining about getting low level smithing stones. Why? Why would you complain about that? They're giving you a bunch of new weapons to test out and try. Like I understand why just keep with the build that you have and the weapon you have, but really cool they thought about that process and whatnot, and the fact that people would want to try new weapons. And granted, you could buy them at the Twin Husks, but like getting them for free is even better, you know, obviously. But overall, like I really enjoyed the DLC. I couldn't get enough of it. I'm gonna give the DLC a 10 out of 10. Um, and like that's all there is to it. 10 out of 10 for Shadow the Erdtree. Best DLC from software that's put out. Anyways, thank you for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you felt about the DLC in the comments below. Other than that, I will catch you guys in the next video. Doodles.